Hello, hello. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this town hall. As you can see, I am joined, Bobby Swartz here, on video, live and in action, by good friends Chris Netto and Melissa Dillman. And usually we might be the ones hiding behind the camera, giving the spotlight to our guests, but you're stuck with the three of us for the entire duration of this event, because what we're going to do here is do an InfoComm roundup with no holds barred. I want to talk about some of the things we saw at InfoComm for those who weren't there, and really for those who were there, to raise above the noise for some of the really cool things we saw, some of the action, some of the industry trends that we saw. Just got a little candid discussion about that. But first and foremost, too, we'll give a quick little roundup of what we saw, what we liked, what we thought was important. But then more importantly, we want to hear your questions. So down at the bottom of your Zoom pane there is the Q&A button. Go ahead and click that button and you can ask any questions. No questions are off limits. The same thing we always do with our partners when we bring them on. Go ahead and grill them. I guess we're throwing ourselves up in front of the firing squad here. Feel free to ask us anything. We would be happy to answer, or at least give our opinion for what it's worth on anything that you want to know. So with that, we've got Chris, we've got Melissa. Welcome. Thank you, team. What's going on? And let's go and get this town hall kicked off for all of our guests here.
Melissa, would you like to start?
Sure. I always like to start. So we had a great time at InfoComm. I love the fact that Bobby's made this anything we want to ask, and my keyboard is just out of reach, but I can probably sneak it over here. Talking about, we had a great InfoComm. Up here, I wanted to show a couple of pictures. There's the booth when it wasn't in chaos late at night, which was really kind of cool. It was a very good-looking booth. And Chris, I'm going to let you talk about your podcast station, which was a huge success and something new.
Yeah, one of the things that we did this year, well, it's my first InfoComm with Starin. So one of the things that we brought this year that we haven't done before has been, we brought in a podcast station. So basically, there are a lot of creators, content creators out there, podcasters in the AV industry, some bigger than others. What we focused on was finding the indie podcasters, the ones that aren't associated to any one group or any particular, they're not affiliated to anybody. They're kind of out on their own with their unique voice and some unique offerings. People such as Non-Com, which have been more a hashtag than anything else. They brought a show to the show by doing 3 episodes of the Non-Com stuff. Katie McGregor-Bennett was out there with her new podcast. Michelle Lorette joined in with AV Mostly. David Maldo, who's had a long-running podcast, but it's been kind of to a very select audience. And now he opened it up, brought it to the show floor for the first time. So let's do video recorded live from us as well. In total, we had about 10 podcasters show up. Very big success for us in terms of activity. They brought a lot of energy to our booth. Guys like Joe Way and his Higher Ed podcast brought basically a sideshow circus. Beach balls that were being thrown into the audience, or whoever was walking by, and they would just grab them and tell them to get on the podcast. It was very, very fun, very different way of doing podcasts, but Joe hit it off pretty well. I was able to step in and guest on a couple of those, and the advantage of being close to a partner like Zoom, which was our next door neighbor, was that we had a buddy of ours, Gabe Maronta, who was able to jump in as well and participate in a few quick segments on various shows. So it was pretty cool to have Gabe, be able to break away from his busy booth to come over and give you guys 5-10 minutes. Because, Gabe's like the local, the resident Zoom expert for the people here, at least on the East Coast that I speak to. So that was a podcast station. All those podcasts that were shot there, we intended them to go live. Unfortunately, we had a little hiccup in there, but we had a backup plan because we're AV people. We always have plan B. Plan B was to record everything and put it out at a later date. So that's what we did. We had everything recorded. Each of the podcasters recorded their own podcast and are now doing the editing. And some of their podcasts have already been basically put out on their channels. And that was the intent. It was never really going to be a Starin network or a Starin podcast. They're owned and operated by them, by their own creators. So we just provided them with a forum and gave them a place on the show floor. That's Basecamp. That's what Basecamp was.
And it's a great point, because throughout what we tried to do at InfoComm here, and we'll talk a little bit about product because that's what InfoComm in a lot of ways is about. But, Chris, listen, more and more I've seen, the more we talk. For me personally, getting to InfoComm when I'm trapped, you can do a lot through video conferencing, but it's the networking. It's the aspect of physically socializing with people, seeing them, shaking the hand. You'd be like, I talk to you every day, but I finally get to see you. It's that networking event. And the podcasting, and not taking it away from just the pure product pitch, because it gets tiring to walk through and have just nothing but a sales pitch from booth to booth to booth. Everyone's just, can I scan your badge? Can I see what's going on? It's like, just let's cut back. Let's do something that stimulates the community, brings value to it. And that's really what we wanted to try and do a lot of this year. And the podcasting situation was a perfect event of that. Is, hey, these people, they're not here to pitch product. They're here to talk about the AV industry, grow it, and network. And providing them the space to do that on a expensive and busy show floor, I thought was absolutely awesome, because you got to see people, you got to meet people, you got to network, which is really the point of a show, is bringing people together for human interaction.
Yeah. So more so extending beyond that, extending beyond the box and the product. I mean, that's something that, Starin brings to the table to begin with. We never went in with this intent of, doing an old school, traditional, stand at the booth, scan a badge mindset. It was basically, we were there to have conversations and to see where things are going, because a lot of the things that we do is a very organic way of doing business, from our Zoom rooms to how we act and how we roll. I mean, we don't just ship boxes. We're trying to be, something a little different than the rest. So I think we did some good things with the podcast station, bringing in the community, bringing everybody, giving everybody the ability to have, a voice and, talk about what their concerns are, and listening to what they said. Many of those shows did a lot of justice to things that we are pursuing as a company as well, without obviously saying the Starin name in any of their podcasts. But, the whole AV as a service and where we're going with that was resonated in a lot of those podcasts that I got to listen to. So kind of a hidden blessing. It was great.
Not to mention, we did our fair share of podcasting on the way down.
Oh, well, there was that little event that the three of us were in now, wasn't it?
There was that little trip that was a good time in the rain.
I don't want to talk about
the RV.
You all have great memories of that, except for somebody sitting here. The third wheel over here does not have great memories of the RV. All right, because some people had to open up the $50 a pop to get Netto to eat pickled eggs story.
Oh.
That changed the whole ride. It went from being a fun ride to not being a fun ride.
But the key was it was for charity. It was all for our charity, which was another community effort that Melissa put together, which was a huge focus of the front of our booth. And what we had going on was bringing on, again, AV giving back, bringing that community and that event to really do something bigger than ourselves.
So there are the puppies who clearly stole the show.
Yeah.
The puppies coming from the New Horizon service dog organization, they were definitely the stars. They got transported from the front to the back. It was not easy to get them to the back because everybody wanted to see them. And I think we were very successful in at least exposing a need, right? There's a need for these types of service dogs, and having the opportunity to talk to people that actually have them was pretty fantastic. So the dogs certainly stole the show.
And it was a surprise to us, for people that are watching this. It was not planned that the puppies are going to be there. We knew that there was a litter born, but we didn't know if timing was going to work, that they were going to be okay to show up. So it was a treat. to hear, across the airwaves, oh my God, the puppies are here. And then that spread like wildfire. The first picture that I saw pop up on Twitter during the show, when I did have signal, I looked in and I started seeing, oh my God, those are not the regular dogs. But whose dogs are those? I thought people had brought, and then I saw the New Horizons gear on them. I'm like, oh my God, the puppies are here. They've arrived. And then it spread like wildfire. So
it spread crazy. People that were sitting outside the booth waiting on puppy arrival. It was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better way to call attention to a great service that they provide. You bring puppies, all of a sudden. I mean, I was even doing a live video at one point when the puppies were there, and I came through, and here's this hulking dude with big muscle arms. You would think this guy would just not be. He turned to jello. He turned to jello. Somebody gave him a puppy. The guy went from like, I'm here to pick heavy things up to I'll just take the puppy and melt. It was great to see the people interacting with it. I saw grown men in business suits rolling on the floor, not caring, of where they were or their surroundings. They were playing with dogs, playing with puppies. It was a good stress relief, I guess.
It was an awesome stress release, right? Like, people came through and saw the puppies, and the whole atmosphere of the area changed. Everybody's happy, they're laughing. Who can resist such a cute face? They didn't care they were getting dog hair all over them. And more importantly, they were willing to donate to the cause, and they were willing to take information back. So that's awesome. We raised over $10,000, which will go a long way in helping a veteran receive his dog. So I can't thank the industry enough for all of their support that they provided throughout this entire journey. It was a crazy idea, and we were happy to see that it was very successful.
You are holding back.
I'm holding back.
And
you're holding back the extra level, or the extra, I guess, step that you're taking this to, because somebody fell in love with the cause more so than other people.
So we were approved as a family yesterday to be a foster parent for one of the dogs. So we will be taking one of these dogs that is getting ready to come out of prison, and they're doing their training stunt. Right now they're doing their training in prison with some prisoners who are able to participate in the program and help train the dogs, and it's sort of a healing both ways. When they come out of that at the end of August, we'll go down to Orlando and pick up our foster puppy that we will take through its next phase of socialization and training. So it is a program I fell madly in love with. And I certainly fell in love with the folks who have the dogs. And so seeing how that rapport worked and how committed they both are to each other, it's something small we can do. And so our family's going to take on another puppy.
I commend you.
It'll be great. We're excited. The puppy stole the show. The other thing that stole the show, D10 in our boxes. Even though we were doing a huge pitch,
we kept just with the booth and those who were able to stop by, and for those who aren't, you kind of see here, we had to focus on the community, but at the end of the day, there's things that we wanted to highlight, and we want those to rise above. Our relationship with Zoom and our focus on that is well known for anybody who's joining into this. And InfoComm is about a validation of that, and helping to bring the industry up to find good ways to serve the growing strength and utilization of Zoom as a platform, and then also to help change what is a changing market with newer products, all types of new items, all types of new philosophies on how to make money in the industry while serving that market. So we had a big focus on our two major product categories here, which are our complete Zoom Room integration ready kits, and then of course the new D10, D7, and what's now, and as you found out at InfoComm if you were there, is now a family of products, not just one single all-in-one display designed for Zoom rooms. And we were tickled pink when we found out both the two things we were focused on in our booth, that big booth with only 2 real products in it, both won Best in Show awards. So it was a nice validation to have. And if you haven't seen these, you haven't worked with these, but you're getting requests for Zoom, it's validation that these are 2 packages, 2 systems serving slightly different areas that allow you to really take advantage of the groundswell that Zoom's creating and offer services capabilities that are really otherwise hard to scale up in the way that Zoom customers' expectations demand. So I love it, and the product worked great. It was well received by everyone I talked to. So I think Chris has got some things cooking on. They're about to be going on for everyone in the audience.
To go along with these with this, I was basically in with the people that were. I'm not a sales guy, so I wasn't doing the sales pitch. I was just in there mixing with the people that came into our booth and asking them questions and finding out where their heads are at. And, you know, to see people finally coming around to the idea that some of these boxes that we have, you know, it's such a, it kind of goes against the whole thing. Here we are saying, you know, everything's got to be out of the, you know, we got to think out of the box. We don't want to just sell boxes, but yet we put everything into a box. And the reason why we do the box or into the box solution, I think that people were surprised that we were able to find all the different products and put them into a single SKU box and to specify it down to the nth degree, right? Another conversation that was had was that, you know, people are like, well, how are we going to go about making money on something like this, right? And I think you know, for them, it's a different philosophy on how they do business, right? You know, most traditional integrators will drop their most, you know, skilled technician onto every project, thinking that that's the way to go. I think that going forward with a service with these installs of the D7s, for example, it's going to be a small tactical team. It's a 3-man or 3-person operation with a project manager who basically starts off doing a room and can do the room in 3 hours. And then, you know, the catch is how quickly can you do the room correctly and turn that into an agile process. And then that becomes your, you know, your squad, your team that is basically turning out these rooms. Because what they need to be is they need to be done quickly, they need to be done efficiently, and they need to be done right. And I think we nailed a bunch of those. We can help them with the how to install it right, because one of the things that we did talk about at the show and brought out was our learning curve. And that is something that Melissa's been working on, and it's a project that Melissa's been bringing to light. I know we have we're up on the Starin booth slideshow right now, but Melissa, can you tell us about what learning curve is? Because for the people that weren't at the show, that was something that we did announce and that we brought out as something that we're behind. And if you can give a little description to what learning curve is all about and how that will help our integrators.
Wow, if I could describe learning curve, absolutely. So learning curve, as everybody is probably fairly familiar with, I have a passion, obviously, for puppies and for education. So learning curve is my education site. I'm excited that what we've done at Starin is like anything else I've ever been able to do, and that is create a hands-on learning environment. So we're not just going to talk theory and let it go at that. We're going to talk theory and then we're going to put it to the test. So it's a practical use of what we've learned. In our training center at our headquarters, we have the ability, we have fake walls, we have studs, there's stud finding, and actual implementation of 3 different types of boom rooms. And they're the ones that are the most popular, the ones that you're going to do most frequently. We want to help you be able to do it correctly, efficiently, every single time. So we're going to put you to the test and actually do a hands-on. So far, it's been great. We have some online learning for things like the D7 that don't require necessarily as much hands-on. So we walk you through it online. And then we have an entry level to get you started on installation. So for those guys who are younger into the field, this is a great tool for them to be able to use and pick up some great tips and tricks on how to install Zoom rooms.
Right, and that's what falls into the philosophy of the consistency in the application. I mean, one of the things that conversations I kept having over and over, when you see people's eyes light up like, oh, you got a box of stuff, there's a bundle of things here. When you start talking about what the booth's actually about, because we didn't even have a physical box. As you can see, that was a representation there. The key was, it's what we're here to do with our box. It goes well beyond just a box of equipment. That box is designed, tested. It's not just a bundle of product like everybody says, I've got a bundle of things here for Zoom. Here's a bunch of boxes in a big brown box. And we went through, we removed it and put it in foam. Why? Because we threw out the accessories you don't need.
Yeah.
We removed the overburden to save time on site. In the bottom of that tray, you have your toggle bolts. You have everything you need from an install, so there's never a run to lows, because we went, how do we make the entire pipeline more efficient for an install and give you everything you need down to the angel guard for the wires? And then we take it a step further, and that's what Melissa's been working on is, well, now that we have these kits and that we're seeing more and more Zoom rooms out there, how do we furthermore, we've all discussed how labor is so hard to get right now. Finding manpower, woman power, it is incredibly difficult to get on site. We all are facing this right now. So what do? Can we wait 15 years and get a whole new brood of AV integrators in? Or can we look with those junior techs or crossing over where we're pulling? I talked to a lot of integrators who are pulling from, laid off electricians in different territories. Depending on where you're at, there's different labor pools to pull from, but they don't know AV. And you're busy. That's the whole point of this education is to bring it to that consistency. We can easily train and help bring your people up to speed quickly on how to capitalize on this growth market without having to invest in more people, finding another thing you got to do when you're already busy and understaffed. It's all about, from the box to the training to the solutions, it's all about trying to get into that high growth market and do it efficiently. And that's being able to tell that story and not just tell it, but actually show all the moving pieces. It was so much fun because it's not just like, as Chris said earlier, it's not just theory. As Melissa said, it's not just theory and training. All these things are here and now, and right through to the end user, where we kind of slipped in there at the end of our discussions. But Starin's now launched. We have AV as a service that Chris mentioned, and what that really is there's a million ways people want to slice that one up. But again, how many of your customers own copiers? How many of your customers are paying a monthly subscription for their copiers? How many are paying a monthly subscription for their unified communications? What about that hardware? There's not a lot of use. There's not a lot of easy to use leasing programs. Setting up leasing for AV hardware, there's a lot of variables. It's hard. That's one of the things Starin has set up. We've launched, it's rolling, and it's available to every single one of our resellers, where you can offer the ability for your customers to, you get paid up front as a reseller, and you can offer as a service the hardware, at least through our financing partner, to make it easy. Again, just trying to find easy solutions to big problems in our industry. Bringing those all together, from labor to install to how you finance your customers' deals and get paid up front so you don't run out of cash flow. It was a fun story to tell. And it's probably the first InfoComm where I wasn't talking about a thing. It was talking about things and how they fit into an ecosystem of service.
Nice. Hey, Bobby, we have a question.
Woo!
What was your favorite product that you saw at the other booths outside of ours? So
Oh
we'll
my!
let Bobby go first.
I'm a nerd with this, so I am always looking for function because that's how my brain works. So there's some really cool stuff, but the thing that I actually thought was the most fun, because I saw the most use and need for it, was Logitech's Tap in full working order. No, again, where my focus is. I'm very tied to the Zoom ecosystem. So seeing a solution like that, so well developed and plug and play, when there's a need for easy deployed controllers that just make things go smooth, I loved that little guy. And based on how busy their booth was, because I could see it out of the corner of my eye all day, holy crap, I think a lot of other people did too.
Chris, what was your favorite?
Well, considering that I'm a former tech manager and guy who's spent a lot of time in the field, And I said it on a couple different podcasts that I went on. And every time I ever gone to a show, whether I was covering it for media or there as a consultant or there as a manufacturer, I always looked for those products that, everybody is talking about the product that is going to be on the cover of the magazine, the next big game changer, buzzword, insert whatever buzzword you want. I look for something that's very practical, as always, that has a solution to a problem that I currently have, right? I currently don't have a problem because I'm not installing it, but if I did, I would say that the Heckler on-wall credenza was probably my favorite product from a practical basis, right? I quickly outgrew in-wall boxes very quickly when you start cobbling together parts and pieces for small spaces. And no disrespect to the furniture side, but tables and designs of tables had changed. There was no pedestals to hide gear and equipment. So now it went super minimalistic on the furniture designs. Where do we hide all the little pieces that we need to put together for a room, even a basic room that had a nook and a camera, and maybe it had a DA to split the signal and do sort of stuff like that. When I saw the Heckler credenza and the fact that it's basically a French cleat and you hang it on the wall and that you run the power into the back, into the rack, it had the fans to exhaust in and out. And the best part about it was, the little sneaky part about it was, I think, and don't quote me on this, but the 2 RU rack that they had, that would mount on the wall and actually look like a speaker. Some people thought it was some sort of weird soundbar thing that we had, massive soundbar, but it's not. It had a fabric cover on it. What the 2 RU space one will get you is, he'll get you your equipment there and not get you into trouble with ADA compliance about how far it's hanging off the wall. So if you play your cards right, you get your right measurements, and you work with the ADA ruling, you can actually get this equipment mounted on the wall, not be in a bump situation, which would get some people into trouble, depending on what the ADA requirements are. But I love it. I thought it was a great, practical solution for an everyday problem. I'll take practical everyday solutions over, whiz bang, wow, trust me, Melissa, I love OLED. I love 8K. I can get easily impressed by that. But from a day-to-day stuff, what impressed me was things that got my job done quick, easy, and more importantly, in the world that we live in now with the way designers are designing spaces, I need it to be clean and discreet. I cannot have big black boxes in the corner of a room anymore. I need something that's going to blend into the space. And the Heckler does a great job at that.
You're right. It makes it modular too, which is really cool. You're not looking at structural.
And you got that custom facing.
Yep.
So the option to do a lot of custom covers to make it match your environment, which was really awesome.
Awesome.
Bob, we have a question. So we saw the 75-inch D10 in our booth. It was there for drill. It was live. So the question, of course, at InfoComm is, when does it ship?
Drum roll, please. So I've had a busy day today on just those types of questions because I always want to have answers, and I figured, being best in show, we might get some of those. The 75 inches, if you were lucky enough to see them at InfoComm, those were the first 5 out of production of it in the US. So those were 4 production units, and they were the only 5 in existence in the stateside. Good news, the keyword there, production units. Production is spooled up. We should have those, with Starin transits. This isn't a theoretical product anymore. They are fully being produced. We're just looking at transit times and final production. I can say with assurance now that we will have those here in our warehouses, shipping throughout North America in September.
Nice.
That's by in September, I mean like the first week of September, because I'm already padding that by a week from what I was told. Just insider information, guys.
Just in case. Just in case.
It'd be a busy Labor Day.
Right. And the other cool thing with all of those products is that we can do a try it to like it.
Absolutely. We have try it to like it on any of our ecosystem products. D10 is one that when you get that D7 in, especially the 55, it's the easy sale. It's the easy, people fall in love with it. The stick rates for, if your customers, if you're looking for one for your own office now, Bring it in. Nobody's going to let you take it out. If you need to get another one, or you have a customer who wants to try it, we can facilitate a demo, and I guarantee you're not going to get it back. The stick rates have been crazy, because if you're already in the Zoom ecosystem, there really is nothing simpler or easier to use, and it's all about the user experience. So.
Right. One of my favorite things at the show were our zombies. Right now, there was a crazy outreach, but
tell me about those zombies, Melissa. What does that mean?
Those zombie cards. If you didn't get a pack of zombie cards, you can ping Bobby and he'll send you some. But the zombie cards, look, my cat wants to be a part of the show today. The zombie cards were all about, we had identified different things that, basically eat away at our profits and take away from the fun part of what we do in our business. And that we've thought about this, and we've assigned them some zombie names, like my labor zombie up there. To look at how we can provide solutions to cure all the zombie issues. So the zombie cards were a winner in my book. I loved them. We have a few more, so you may see some more come out. If you didn't get a set, let us know, and I think we can fix you up. And then let's not forget we had AV in the AM. That was an awesome event at the show as well.
Well, I appreciate you guys letting me set up some coffee over to the side of the booth and have some of the AV and the AM people over. For people that are not familiar with what AV and the AM is basically a chat that I ran, and I still run on Sunday mornings. It's kind of like my off hours thing that I do, basically asking questions to people. And I post 5 questions out on a Sunday morning. This thing started off as me grabbing a cup of coffee, taking a picture of my coffee mug, and saying good morning. Next thing you know, it turned into this chat, and it's wheeled on. Basically, for the last year, we've basically went from like 3 or 4 people talking to very quickly having a couple hundred people on the conversation now. And every week it gets bigger and better. And to finally have our first kind of meetup, I appreciate that Starin allowed me to bum a little corner of the zombie booth to have some coffee.
You weren't attacked by zombies, so that was good. Unlike
I played barista for the first time in my life, and I kind of messed that up too, but that's okay. Coffee got poured. That's what's the matter. Everybody had coffee, a lot of conversation, and it went well. Thank you. I appreciate that.
There was a little party to get us kick-started, which went really well. We had a great time there.
Yeah, we did pretty well for a little party that could. Yeah, it was originally just going to be, hey, come by, have a drink, hang out for a little bit. And it just turned into, I'm coming and I'm bringing a friend and their friend and their friend. And it was great. Well, it was great because what made the front booth really special was that was more of a conversational booth for us, in the sense that we had no products there. We had more swag than we had any products. We had, that's where our charity was hosted there. So we kept everything in theme, and we did not want to make that we did not make them want to, buy a box, sign on a dotted line. That's not that wasn't the place. That wasn't the idea behind it. It actually worked very well. It's just a jump off point. A lot of people had questions. That was a great place to start with the questions. So I appreciate everybody.
If the goal of the show is to have that networking community, this was the embodiment of that. And it was really a way to say thank you to our partners and our dealers, because we've got the rest of the year to talk business facts. We don't have a lot of time together to socialize and kindle those friendships or rekindle them as we need. And that's really what this was all about for us, was rekindling and having those relationships and telling all of you who were there. And hopefully next year we could see some of those in the crowd here who aren't, make it to InfoComm. I'm sure we'll do something similar or even bigger next year. But really just to say thank you. Thank you for your time. And we're focused on we're focused on every aspect of the business, not just how you procure your product. And I hope that's what came across, and that's why we kept this kind of loose for this meeting, was to say, these are the types of things we're thinking about and that we think about every single day. When the 3 of us here chat, this is how our conversations go. We're talking about these types of things and what can we do? How can we amplify the channel? how can we help? What are the real issues and how can we address those? Which isn't what you might think a distributor might do, but that's our focus, is how can we serve, because the rest of things become easy.
Hey, Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what comes easy?
Picking a winner, right?
A winner. Do you have a winner for us today?
I do, because while we were talking, I ran through the scrolly wheel of doom and we came up with a winner. Garrett Huey, you are our winner, and Mark Decker will be reaching out to you post this show to make sure that you have your gift card, to make sure your confirmation so that it doesn't disappear into junk mail. I hate when that happens, but it'll be instantly delivered, so we'll get that to you quickly. Congratulations. And I want to thank everyone for coming in. The three of us, our contact, we'll make sure you have it in the follow-up. You'll be going to follow up on this. If you missed it, for anybody who wasn't here, the recording will be shared. We had one question there, is how we get to the learning curve. We'll share that link, but it is, if you want to,
It's in the chat.
it is starinlearningcurve.com. Nice and easy to go, nice and easy to find and utilize. Recommend checking it out, sign up for some classes, try them out. You can't get a better training than Melissa Dillman, who is the one who got me to pass my CTS so many years ago herself. So thank you all for attending. We hope you found this beneficial, and got a quick little recap of InfoComm. Would love to share some of these programs information, but really it's a conversation. So let's keep the conversations we started InfoComm started here going. Reach out to myself, Chris, Melissa. Any of the Starin team can assist you with these questions and really show what's really going on under the hood. Next month, we'll be having our back to standard programming, where we'll have our great friends from HuddleCam and PTZ Optics on how streaming can impact your business. So that has been a huge growth market for us as well. I'm sure it has been for all of you. They make a great product. They have great solutions. So get some questions ready, because that team knows how to answer the hard questions. So thank you very much, everyone. Chris, Melissa, thanks for chatting as always.
Thank you, Bobby. Always a good time.
Always
Everyone,
a pleasure, man. Thank you for inviting.
thank you. Everyone, have a wonderful day, and enjoy when the weekend gets here. And let's see how we can do some more business together and meet some of those needs. That's what we're here to do. So start the conversations. Let's keep them going. Ciao, everyone.